Ahoy YouTube! Today we're going to do some basic maintenance on my Fountain 24, which means we're going to change the oil filter, the fuel separator, and we're also going to change the spark plugs. If you're new to the channel, my name is Captain Dan, and well, that's normally my garage where we're doing some work on my Ferraris and other exotic cars and supercars, but well, I bought this Fountain 24 money pit and decided that would be a good idea, which was stupid, but it's going to be fun. So we need to do a little bit of basic maintenance. It needs kind of like a just tune up and some stuff to just keep it going. So like I said, we're going to be changing oil filter, spark plugs, fuel filter, and just kind of going over it. So we're going to have to run this out of the water, which means I have a special adapter. We'll show you how to connect that up so that we don't burn up the engine. So that's a big thing, making sure that there's actually cool water flowing through the engine. Otherwise they'll kind of burn up. But before we get any of that, if you want to support this channel, please go visit normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy supercar parts and accessories. So I do appreciate when you guys do that. That's literally my job to do that. So thank you so much to all of you that have done that in the past and those of you that will buy stuff in the future. And don't forget, use the code NGS10. It knocks off 10% almost everything in the store. Let's get wrenching on this boat and get it running a little better. So we're going to have to hook up a water hose to a little adapter and connect it to the rear of the boat. They'll pump water into the engine. So I'm actually going to back the boat up right here into the driveway, although we're not going to do it too close because the exhaust will have some water spitting out of it, and I don't need a bunch of nasty, sooty exhaust water blowing across all my cars. Oh yeah, don't forget to be a good citizen and leave your drain plug unplugged until you're about to put the boat in, especially in the Austin area because there's a bunch of zebra mussel problems, and so technically it's illegal not to drain your bilge. It's still got a little bit of water even though it was sitting there. I think it's just because of the angle the boat was at. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is change the spark plugs, and these are the NGK BR6 FS. And of course we need 8 of them since it's just a Chevy V8. And we're gonna do the spark plugs first because we're gonna have to run the engine to do the oil. It's a good idea to run the engine for a few minutes, heat up the oil, get it so it thins out. Plus, that's gonna stir up any of the contaminants so that when you pull the oil out, it's gonna pull all the contaminants with it. So we wanna do the oil afterwards, but of course running the engine's gonna get really hot, so I'm gonna do these first so we don't burn ourselves on the manifolds. Okay, so here's all my new plugs, and I was just checking the gap, and it's supposed to be 0.4, or 0.04, sorry. And well, these are at 0.025, so we're gonna have to expand it just a little bit. So these are, again, the NGK BR6 FS. And the engine that we're dealing with is a 502 Mercruiser EFI. So I think that's the big difference, is the EFI systems have a different gap than the carbureted systems. So they want actually a little bit of a bigger gap. All right, so it's a little bit hard to see, but this is the 0.040 gap check. And you can see this does not fit. So what we do is we take some sort of screwdriver or something that's flat and just pry it up just a little tiny bit. And we get this so it just barely squeezes in there. There you go. See how it's got just a little bit of resistance? That's what you want. So this one's at 0.040. So another trick we're going to do is we're actually going to put just a tiny bit of anti-seize on the threads. Just a little bit. So just a dab, and then we're going to rub them into the threads. I can't while I'm holding the camera. But we're going to do that so that next time these won't be stuck in the cylinders and we don't risk damaging the engine. So you can see we've got a tiny bit of anti-seize just on the threads. And then the last thing that I like to do is we're going to put a little bit of dielectric grease right here on the top of the spark plug, just so that it creates a barrier from the electrode to the insulator. And basically this means that this will help your boot come off easier and you don't risk damaging your spark plug wires next time you're removing them. Okay, so there's just a dab of grease on there, the dielectric grease. So what we're gonna do now is take the 5/8 inch socket that is specifically designed for spark plugs. You can see it's got a little boot in there, so that will help pull the spark plugs out of the engine. So we're going to take and remove the old spark plugs. So on this boat there is a battery disconnect underneath the rear seat down here, and we're going to turn that back on so we can get power and lift the top. Click it over. There we go. We should have power now. And yep, the lights are on. So now we just push the engine hatch button And we can raise up the hatch. All right, now we have access to the engine. All right, so the spark plugs in this guy are down here below the manifold. Not super difficult to get to, but a little bit of a pain in the butt just because of the angle and everything. So we're gonna have to set up the camera and try and wiggle our way in there. All right, let's see if we can get in here. All right, so the spark plugs are, we're just gonna do, oh wait, where's that first one? There you are, way up here. The wires actually seem to be in pretty good shape. So that's a good sign. I can get that plug wire. There we go. Third one and the last one. A little bit trickier in this one. There we go. Okay, got the plug wires off. All right, now to get the first plug. It's gonna be a little tricky just because of the angle that these guys are at. I'm gonna kind of do it by feel. I can't really see where the plug is. Where are you? There you are. Yeah, there's a bunch of hoses and stuff, so it does make it kind of a tight fit. Yeah, nice. Came up pretty easily. All right, yeah, a little bit better angle for you. It's loose. All right, there we go. And actually, this plug's in pretty good shape, but the gap is way too small, so it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that is not 4/10. We should go measure it and see what it's at. Let me tell you, this is a little bit easier to work on than the 458 doing spark plugs. All right. Yeah. Again, a little bit of richness running on this one. You can see a black ring around it. So this one was running slightly rich. Plug gap looks a little better. I should have been a boat mechanic. This is so much easier than fighting with Ferraris. You got a lot more room. Only downside is you're kind of like leaning over on your back, which kind of sucks. Okay. Much better gap on this one. Well, this one actually looks pretty clean. Not rich on that one. Ooh, that plug was super loose. We may have been losing some compression on that plug. It was so loose. That's not good. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. There is definitely some oil on this one. So we might have some blow-by on this cylinder. Yeah, that one's in bad shape. And now for the right side. Okay, so we got the plugs out, and you can see there's like a, well, there's a plug that's kind of in reasonably good shape right in the center, but like this one to the left, you can see definitely was not doing a complete burn. It is running rich and has a little bit of oil deposits. Overall, the engine's in probably pretty decent condition. So I just checked them all, and actually only 2 of the plugs had too small of a gap. The rest were a little bit big, actually, so not bad. Anyway, we'll get the new plugs in, and then we can work on the oil change. Alrighty, got my new plugs, and we'll get these going. So we're gonna put these into the plug holder, like that. And then we're gonna hand thread them at first. So we don't wanna go in and just start jamming them in there. So we wanna do them a little bit gently at first. That way we don't cross thread them or anything stupid. Again, the only tricky thing about this is we're having to do it all by feel, since I can't really see anything in there. There we go, got it. And now I'll tighten it down a little. And these things don't have to go super, super tight, so you don't need to put like 20 ugga-duggas or anything. There, got the first one in. And we might as well put the plug wire on since we're here. And the first one actually is way up here. Oops, I did number 2, not number 1. Huh. There we go. While I was messing around, I noticed that that vacuum line, there you go, that vacuum line popped off. So you can see this line right here is supposed to be on that. So it's really tight, like this line's not long enough. So I'm gonna see if I can't replace it. So here's the fill filter. You can see it looks just like an oil filter. It's part 358M0154755. So I got my universal adapter. Alright, since I don't want a bunch of fuel leaking out, which it just did, I'm gonna get a bag and wash my hand. I saw this trick. You take a bag and put it around the filter, and that way it'll kind of capture some of the leaking fuel. Now obviously the bag is not gonna hold over the long run because it will dissolve because it's a plastic bag, and petroleum products will dissolve each other. There we go. In case you're wondering, I just took the fuel and dumped it in my lawnmower, so I'm not like wasting it or, you know, just throwing it in the trash. Okay, got the new filter, and put that sucker on there. Come on, get on there. There we go. Alrighty, now let's run to the parts store, get a vacuum line, and then we'll run the engine, then change the oil.